Hey there, Tech Team, it's Austin here. Wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk to you about our new producer position and really the why of it and why we're doing it. Something I've talked about at Tech Meeting for a few weeks now, but I wanted to really kind of go a little bit more in depth on it, specifically on the technical side of things here in this video. So thanks for taking time to watch this. Here we go. So why producer? Well, Gladden is the one kind of word answer to that. That's the reason for it. If we weren't about to become a multi-site church, I don't think we would need a producer. But because we are doing that, we do, right? And it started with when we put the countdown clocks screen on the back wall next to the confidence monitor. Someone has to advance those cues if you didn't know. So that thing doesn't automatically advance from, if we're in a timer for one song, it doesn't automatically advance to the next, or if we're in hosting timer, it doesn't auto advance towards sermon. And that's by design. The idea, and it runs a tool called Planning Center Live, which is linked to the Planning Center services flow that you see on your phone and on our paper scripts that are throughout Tech. But someone has to advance those, and the reason for that is so that it can actually record the actual time that thing took, which is really helpful to staff as we kind of reflect on how long was the sermon actually, how long were the songs and the hosting bits actually. This is it's a cool informational piece, so that's nice. But someone has to do it. We originally thought, we'll just have the TD, kind of carry around a phone and do that. Well, it turns out that role, the technical director role, needs to be free to go do stuff. So if something breaks in children's, they have to leave the worship center. If the courtyard screen goes down, that lovely guy over there, the TD's got to be able to take care of that, and so on and so forth. Or run to the stage and do something, that kind of thing. And if the TD goes off and does that, the countdown clock screen gets abandoned, and suddenly the folks on stage, whether that's the band or someone speaking, may not have their up-to-date timer. And so it became really clear quickly that the TD role was not well suited for that, and so we needed someone else to do it. And so that fell to a producer. So that was kind of the initial impetus or reason for launching producer. And then as we thought about that, and I should say we, so I've brought Joan Mariski on to be our lead of that team. She's doing a fabulous job. But as Joan and I started to think through these things, we realized there's a lot more to be done here. And I had those thoughts before as well, but it's really become fleshed out recently that when Gladden is online, there are a lot more things the producer is going to be doing now than they even are right now. We're kind of in a practice phase. Right now here in, May? It's May now, May of 2025, we're slowly rolling toward not only that December Christmas Eve launch date that leadership has set for us for Gladden, but also potentially starting practice services out there as soon as October or November, hopefully beginning of November. That would be great, so we have time to do stuff. So that's right around the corner. But we've got, 4 or 5 months until then. And so we're in practice phase. And that's kind of where we are right now. So those are kind of your first couple reasons, is to free up the TD to do what they need to do and to operate that countdown clock screen. I started to say a minute ago and then forgot. The whole reason for the countdown screen is because kind of your worst case scenario with a multi-site thing is that your broadcast site, which is Cortero in most cases, is running slow effectively. So the scenario would be that your Gladden campus or other campuses, if we have them down the road, is ready for the sermon to start, like they've finished their music and all their hosting bits, and they're ready for the sermon to start, but it hasn't begun yet at Cortero, at your broadcast site. And so now you have a room of 300 people waiting, just twiddling their thumbs, or someone on stage telling jokes, which maybe Luke would like, but we want to avoid that just to keep things smooth and distraction free for everyone. And so now what we're looking at is Cortero has to be on time. Doesn't matter how long that time is. We always want to give room for the Holy Spirit to do his thing, and so we plan for that and leave room for that. But we need to go to the time planned as much as possible. So that means that up until the sermon, we've got the times that the songs are going to be, we've got the times that the hosting is set to be, especially anything that's a speaking bit needs to go to the planned time, whatever that happens to be. And so that is now the producer's responsibility to coordinate those clocks and make sure that people are following those times. Whether or not there's an interaction with the producer and any hosting or speaking bits is yet to be determined. We'll see how necessary that becomes. We might not figure it out till we're in the moment. But so all of that is to make sure that the sermon has already started at Cortero before it's needed at Gladden. And we're building some delays in to help with that as well. We'll have about a 3.5 minute buffer that Cortero can run long for, but 3.5 minutes gets eaten real fast by announcements or by speaking if we're not careful. So that's kind of what the producer does there. Now, as we get into it, we realize, oh, this is really cool to have someone to kind of lead the service from a technical and also not producer, but just an overall perspective, to have someone who's running that whole thing and keeping track of it. And so I think of it as like syncing the Cortero team. It was last night that I shared this with you all in Tech Meeting last, but one analogy I use is that the band on stage is all listening to the same click, the same metronome in their ears, as well as the same cues, to overuse a word there. They're listening to that cue voice, that guide in their heads that says chorus 2, 3, 4. That's telling them all when to hit the same note. The producer is going to serve a similar function for us, not in terms of that consistent noise and voice and all necessarily, but so that everyone knows what's happening when, and what to do and what to beware. And that's a shift for us. And all the time I've led the team, we've not needed that. Again, because we're not multi-site, but also because you all are amazing. Like everyone on this team does such a great job of knowing what they're supposed to do, knowing how to do it, knowing when to do it. And a lot of that is kudos, especially to those of you who do training. I love getting to tell people that I rarely train on anything, whether we have a new media person or camera or lights or sound person. All of that training is almost always handled by you volunteers. So just a side note, I'm super grateful for that. And so you all are amazing. And so we haven't needed that until now. But now we need it because we're headed toward multi-site, and someone needs to run the show, run the ship, keep things in sync. And it's going to help us to be even more precise than we already are, and to eliminate as many distractions as possible by having a really smooth service flow. And it's not about being overproduced or never having problems. It's not unusual for us to have some glitch on stage or someone to say something funny, We got Josh up there. So it's not about that, and it's not about, I of all people, I'm really concerned to protect our big church small feel. And so maintaining that small feel is important, and so we can't produce the living daylights out of things and have everything so perfect that ever happens. I like to say often too that it's kind of a good thing when something breaks on stage, or someone hits a wrong chord, or something doesn't go right technically, because it reminds all of us that this isn't a show, and we're not here to perform. The reason that we do things like add producers and coordinate things is to eliminate distractions and facilitate people freely entering into worship. So there's that side of things. I think I said all I'm going to say on that. So what that's going to look like going forward, just practically, as you're hearing the producer over comms, is that they're going to be saying something to the effect of, let's say we're finishing up. You should expect this in like the last 10, 15 seconds or so of a song. Let's say we finish our first song, Glorious Day. Second song is going to be Whole Heart, and Maddie's going to lead that song. You're going to expect the producer to say, stand by for Whole Heart led by Maddie. Something like that. You're going to hear that over comms. Or as we go to a hosting bit, we're going to say, okay, or they might say, stand by for hosting by Sal, something like that. And as we get into the sermon, there may even be some more indicators there, especially if we have more special like sermon elements to open things. And you should also expect to hear, again, we're a little bit new to it, but this coming weekend we've got child dedications coming up, and we may experiment with the producer kind of keeping people posted on that sort of thing. Okay, 2 kids to go, something like that. Stand by for 2 more kids or something like that. Some of it we are still figuring out. It's we're new at this, and we're going to get really good at it. And so that's kind of what you can expect to hear over comms right now. Once we get to, so here's my final reason for this, and that's sync with Gladden. We're going to try some crazy things with Gladden. So on the very simple level, which is still not simple, we're going to be the broadcast campus here at Cortero to Gladden. So we're sending them video sermon every week, essentially live, although it's on a delay per Resi. But we're going to be sending video to them, and so the producer is going to be in charge of coordinating with the most likely the technical director at Gladden, of which there'll be one there every week, and making sure that they know what's going on, have what they need, dealing with any issues there, and maybe even coordinating between the two TDs. So there will be, at the very most basic level, that the producer will also be responsible for handling, there's going to be some new functions with Resi, which is our streaming system, that will need to be taken care of when Gladden comes up. It's going to be a role pretty specific to the producer, but the simple part is they'll be monitoring a station where they can see the video as it's going out to Gladden, and they can add markers and say, here at 23 minutes and 40 seconds, this is where the sermon starts. It'll be really essential for Gladden to know when that is in their video timeline as it's incoming. So that allows them to ideally pause at the beginning of that sermon, cue it up, and then roll it when they're ready for sermon on their end. So that's one of the functions producer will add when Gladden comes up. We're also going to attempt this crazy thing. I have to tell you, when I called up Resi, again, our streaming provider, and told them what we wanted to do, they had never, I'm pretty sure they told me no one's really wanted to do this. I had to explain it a couple times as to what we were trying to do for them to tell me if it was possible technically, and they were like, they hadn't seen this much before, if at all. What we're gonna do, as you've probably heard, is Greg and John will go, or whoever the speakers are, will go to Gladden and preach there live on a Sunday, and we will then reverse things and send that video here to Cortero. If you think about it for more than a couple seconds, that is a significant logistical challenge to handle every 6 weeks or so. Because if you think about it, we won't be streaming that. Worship will not be streamed from Gladden because it won't be set up for it. We have the infrastructure here on the audio and video side to do a great job of producing worship for live stream, of distributing that here. So the worship music side will come from Cortero at all times, but then you've got Cortero live hosting on stage here, and then you're going to be looking to receive the sermon coming in from Gladden, and we've got to coordinate all that to get switched onto the stream here to be shown on the screens here. We're talking about having potentially a third screen of some kind at Cortero on those weeks. I'm in very early processes on that. And so that's all being coordinated with Gladden back and forth. It's this whole thing, and there's a lot of moving pieces there, and the producer is going to be in charge of coordinating that. That's one of the big elements that is going to be essential for the producers to handle as we get into this. So hopefully that answers some questions about what the producer is, what we're trying to do. As always, with anything, I would love your feedback and your input on it. There are some things that I'm convinced that we need, and specifically that's that auditory communication from the producer over comms. But I love your feedback on that as to how we can best do that and how we can integrate it into our existing structures. There's gonna be some adjustments all around. This is one of the first brand new things we've done in a while. So bear with us, bear with the producer team, with Joan and her team as they work on this and learn it. If you're serving on that team, thank you very much. This is a brand new, crazy cool thing that we're jumping into. So we'd love your feedback and your input. Don't hesitate to share that. And just let me know what you're thinking. So once again, as always, thank you so much for, I'm always just grateful for the time you guys give to this. You all have school and jobs and homework and all those things, and you could be doing 1,000 other things than being here on a Thursday night or a Sunday. So thank you very much. I appreciate you, and I look forward to talking soon. See ya.